Okay, we are live. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on when and where you're watching this Facebook Live. This is the voice and the face of Dr. Kemunto. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Living Spring Family Medical Center here in the amazing city of Mansfield, Texas, not too far from Dallas, Texas. And at Living Spring Family Medical Center, we believe in helping our patients live long and well because we believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. And today we'll be having a conversation in line with our hashtag or our I health statement. And so today we'll be talking about the topic, Doc, my hair is falling out. Help me. It's hard to find a dermatologist that gets my hair. Um, and this would be the brown skin version of the live where we're talking about hair loss. Um, and we decided to do this topic. I always like to talk about that first because I've had a few requests for this topic. And so I'm going to be having this talk with a dermatologist who is very, very well versed with this. And she should be joining us soon. Um, let me just check in to make sure she got my message. Okay, she did. Okay, very good. So she should be joining us soon. Now, if you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching replay, hashtag replay. And I will be bringing her on as she has just entered the backstage. Hi, Doc. Let me get her in. Let me get her in. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I am good. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
All right, awesome, awesome. Right before you joined, I was just introducing the topic, and I was about to introduce you when you popped on. So this is good. And first, I want to say thank you for taking the time out to do this. You're a very busy person. I'm a big fan. I've stalked you on your websites and stuff. So thank you for taking time to do this. And that being said, if you don't mind, kindly introduce yourself to our guests. Who are you, and what do you do, Doc?
All right. Well, my name is Dr. Kemmy. I'm a board certified dermatologist. I'm also the author of the book Live and Look Younger, and I'm a speaker. And, as a general dermatologist, I help people with all matters regarding hair, skin, and nails. And the reason why I wrote this book, Live and Look Younger, is really to answer the questions that a lot of people had asked me on ways they can look younger beyond the cosmetic procedures that we do. So when I wrote this book, it was just my way of imparting my knowledge, lots of knowledge, sharing information that lots of people ask as a way of giving back to the world.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I'm going to make sure we share that information so people can have access to that. And I have to say, you're a testament to what you do because I could see your skin. You're literally glowing. So this is good. Now, for those who are watching, who are like, okay, well, how did you get into the field? Like, why do you do what you do, Doc?
So I'm a dermatologist, and pretty much when I first started medical school, I didn't know I was going to do dermatology, but I knew I liked working with my hands, and I knew I liked, seeing patients who are not very sick. So dermatology worked out to be the perfect specialty for me because the patients, they walk in well, and I see patients of all ages, from the itsy bitsy babies all the way up to my oldest patient who's 104. I see them in clinic. I'm a very visual person. So I like the fact that in dermatology, a lot of times just by looking at something, we can tell what's going on. And so it's a very fulfilling specialty for me. And again, even though I didn't think I'd be doing it when I started medical school, it's like I found my thing and I'm so glad I do it.
I like how you said not too sick. I
Yeah,
love
not
it. That's fair. That's fair. All right. So today we're talking about hair loss. Okay. I'm sure some people are watching like, well, I wish you talk about skin, maybe another one. But today we talk hair loss. So what are the common causes of hair loss? I know there are many, but what would you say maybe the top 4 or 5 are causes of hair loss?
So I'd say the most common for sure is androgenetic alopecia. And that's the type of hair loss that we see whenever we think of balding, like whenever you think of men who have balding hair, where the hair is receding from the temples, or, where just balding, that's androgenetic alopecia. And that's the most common cause of hair loss in both men and women.
Wow.
Women can get it too. For men, of course, it's very obvious to see it, especially in the men who've lost the hair, the hair, the crown of their head. heads. In women, it's a little bit trickier because for women, our frontal hairlines will still be intact with androgenetic alopecia. But what will happen when people part their hair? They'll be a wide apart,
Mm.
and that's the field. So we also call it patterned hair loss. So male pattern hair loss and female pattern hair loss, they're the most common. And then the name androgenetic kind of explains what's going on. Androgens are hormones. So a lot of times there's excessive testosterone and DHT, and those hormones come to the hair. They affect the receptors. And they pretty much they affect receptors on the hair follicle that inhibit growth, that make the hairs grow thinner and smaller and grow more slowly. So it also has a genetic component, and so for that type, you either got those genes from your family or you did not. It's really really common, but thankfully we have multiple treatments for that, and I know we'll go over that a little bit later on. So
Awesome. So that's the most common. Any other ones? Let's say women. Because I'm a little biased. Yeah, but let's
So
talk
yeah, so
women.
other really common ones, alopecia areata is also a very common form of hair loss. Alopecia areata is a more autoimmune type of hair loss where the white blood cells are actually attacking hair follicles. And so with alopecia areata, you will actually have patches of hair loss where the hair is completely gone. And there are many forms of alopecia areata. There are the forms where there's just one spot, where there's one coin-shaped
Mm-hmm.
part of hair that's lost. Then other people have it all the way to alopecia totalis, where they lose all the hair on their head. They even lose their eyebrows and their lashes. All of that is autoimmune. And again, thankfully, in the world of alopecia areata, we now have new exciting treatments that we can use for that. Then another common cause of hair loss, especially in people, I don't know who your audiences are. I'm sure you see a lot of people, but in people of African descent, like you and
Yes.
I,
Yes. Yes.
traction alopecia is a big, big cause of hair loss. And, I'm ashamed today that I'm wearing braids. My braids are not done very tight, but things like braids, if you do braids all the time, that can contribute to traction alopecia. I probably have a little bit of it, but, we do braids to make our hair a bit manageable. But anytime you have a hairstyle where people are braiding too tight, there's a lot of tension on the hair follicles, and that causes traction. It causes the hair to be pulled and the hair breaks. So it either comes from styles like braids, or people who do weaves, people who do really tight ponytails can get traction. And that's the one
Mm.
form of alopecia that you can actually prevent. We'll go into that. But androgenetic, which we talked about earlier, that one is genetic. It's your hormones, it's your genes, so there's not much you can do to prevent that. Alopecia areata is autoimmune, not much you can do to prevent that. Traction alopecia is a one form of alopecia that comes from what you're doing to the hair, from
Mm.
mechanical friction. So it's a one form of alopecia that we are empowered to protect ourselves, prevent ourselves from getting.
Ah. Okay. Well, you got to get them edges.
Yes, you have to
Yeah.
protect the edges. And then there are also a lot of other inflammatory alopecias that we get. So, for example, when people have inflammatory conditions like lupus, they can get alopecia. There's another type of alopecia called lichen planopilaris, which is also an autoimmune type of alopecia. Whenever people have fungal infections of their hair, tinea capitis, they can have
Mm.
alopecia and hair falling out because of that. And then there are also other miscellaneous causes of alopecia that are common, like whenever people have thyroid anomalies, they can have alopecia. Sometimes when people have vitamin and mineral deficiencies, like if you have severe anemia, if you're low in vitamin D, so if your thyroid hormones are all over the place, whether it's hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, that can also contribute to hair loss and hair thinning.
Oh wow, you've given us a whole lot of information. So it could be anywhere from genetics to overpulling to fungal infections, thyroid issues, mineral deficiencies. I typically see the vitamin D's, the iron deficiencies, and thyroid as a cause. Would you say menopause too? There's a maybe somewhat.
Yes, in menopause, a lot of women notice some thinning, and that's just because during menopause, with all the changing hormones, there's less estrogen and there's more predominance of testosterone. So that can contribute to the thinning, just the hormonal imbalances.
Okay, are there things? So I have women who are watching it, and men possibly too, who are watching, who are like, okay, so that's a whole lot. I of course go see my doctor, have conversations, maybe do some tests. But are there things I can do to prevent hair loss?
I mean, there are things you can do to prevent hair loss depending on the type of hair loss. So, lifestyle plays a big, big, big role in the health of our whole body. And sometimes the hair, sometimes your hair and your skin is a reflection of how healthy your life is. So, for example, if you're not eating a very balanced diet, if you're not including a lot of high quality proteins in your diet, if you're not having vitamins, especially vitamin C, and having the B vitamins, when your diet is not so healthy, your hair will not be as healthy. So one way to really optimize your hair health is to optimize your overall health and to make sure you're having a nice balanced diet that has good quality proteins. You also want the good quality fats, nice omega-3 fatty acids. For example, you can get that from having, your salmons and other healthy fish, and also things like flaxseed. So you want that in your diet. So I'd say if you want to optimize your hair, for sure, optimize your diet. Also, stress is not necessarily a cause of hair loss, but then, oh, well, actually, yes, it can. So whenever you have acute stress, I didn't really talk about it, but there's also another form of hair loss called telogen effluvium, where when the body is exposed to extreme stress, whether it is a medical illness that led to hospitalization, or even in some cases, COVID, pregnancy, other things, is a form of hair loss called telogen effluvium, where the hair cycle is modified, and many of the hairs are pushed from the growth phase, which is called anagen, to the telogen phase, which is the old phase. And then when they move from anagen, the growth phase, to the telogen, the old phase, there's a lot of shedding and thinning of hair. So stress can be a big contributor to telogen effluvium. And so I'd say in general, stress can cause telogen effluvium, but for all forms of hair loss, if you're stressed out and you're very stressed, your hair won't grow as well. So the stress will exacerbate other causes of hair loss. So it's really, really important to learn how to control stress in your life, even for the sake of your
Your
hair.
hair. Wow. And I love how you mentioned, the healthy lifestyle, because, sometimes it sounds like, you know, I give negative that, but it's important. How you eat affects your hair, the outcome of your hair. All right. So my next question to you is this. A lot of people are like, okay, collagen. What about collagen? I could just eat a lot of collagen capsules, and what are your thoughts on collagen use for hair?
So, collagen is still a bit controversial in general.
Okay.
I think the evidence is pointing towards the use for collagen in helping the skin and the hair, but it's still a bit of a controversial topic. So, I usually tell people that to get collagen, if you can, try to get collagen that you can make on your own. So, I highly encourage people to learn how to make bone broth and to get an organic bone, whether it's organic beef or organic chicken, and then make your own bone broth at home, because you'll get the collagen from the bone broth and you've made it yourself, so you know what's in there. And if you get it from organic grass-fed beef or other organic sources, then
Mhm.
you're getting a good quality source of protein. That being said, collagen supplements, I think, may help hair. There's not enough evidence pointing towards it. So that's why I'd say if people are having hair loss problems, and in general, if you want to boost your collagen, for sure, get into the habit of making bone broth. Or, you can make vegetable broth if you're vegetarian, but bone broth does a lot better for collagen. And then as far as the supplements go, I'm sure they work, and I know they're very good. There are many good quality supplements out there, but there are also many bogus supplements out there that don't deliver what they promise. So with supplements, just be careful. And that's why I just recommend, if people can learn how to make their own bone broth, that's the best way to get collagen.
Awesome. Thank you for that balanced response. Now let's talk biotin.
Yes.
Would you say? And I'll be honest with you, I tend to recommend that for first off. I say go try some hair, skin, and nail supplements. Try it. Do a picture before and after, so you can see if it's making any difference. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think biotin will helps hair a little bit, but biotin is overrated. So yes, it'll help hair, but it tends to help nails more than hair. It'll help the nails grow faster than it'll help the hair grow. And a lot of times, if you're taking a multivitamin, you have the biotin there anyways. So in general, I don't really recommend biotin for my hair
Mhm.
loss people. I feel like if you get one of the hair growth supplements like Nutrafol or Viviscal, they will have the right amount of biotin, and you don't have to go out of your way to add additional biotin. I also caution people that whenever you take biotin, it can affect some lab studies. So whenever people who take biotin, if their thyroid studies are done, it can affect the accuracy of the thyroid studies. And even for some labs, when people are having heart attacks and they're checking the markers for MIs, when they take biotin, it can also affect the accuracy of those
For
test
the
results.
test.
So in
Okay.
general, I'd say if you have to take biotin, probably once or twice a week is enough. But
Okay.
biotin is overrated and probably should, a balanced diet and a good multivitamin is much better than trying to take biotin and trying to take all of these hair and nail supplements out there.
All right. This is very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Um, So, for those, of course, we're going to give you information at the end because I'm sure people are like, oh, I want to meet this doctor. Her skin is beautiful. I love how she talks about hair loss. But one more question to you: what are natural ways to strengthen our hair? And I know you talked about some of it before, but if you can give us maybe two or three, like what do you see as natural ways to let's say someone's having hair loss, they have to make an appointment, they have that schedule, but they're thinking, what are things I can do to kind of optimize my hair growth? What would you say?
So I'd say for sure you want to have gentle hair care practices. So for gentle hair care practices, when you're washing your hair, most people don't need to wash their hair every single day unless you have very oily hair. So you could start with limiting the frequency of hair washing. For people like us who have, or people of African descent, honestly, unless you're doing a lot of sweaty activities, once a week is usually enough. And then for other hair types, 3 times a week might be enough, 4 times a week might be enough. Try to wash your hair as minimally as possible. And when you're using your shampoos, try to get quality shampoos that don't have a lot of harsh ingredients like sulfates and other things that strip off your hair of too many oils. Whenever you're washing your hair, a lot of people like hot water, it feels good, but honestly, warm water is enough for you. And then doing a cold rinse afterwards. Cooler water is better for you. Other things for your styling practices, try to avoid chemicals as much as you can. Try to avoid heat as much as you can. And if you're using heat, make sure you use a protectant on your hair to protect the hair shafts from the heat. You should also try not to use heat every single day to straighten your hair. It's a good idea to just change styles around and balance things out. Other things I recommend for is that you should condition your hair. So after washing it, you should put a conditioner. And depending on the type of your hair, you could put in, a conditioner that you rinse out after 5 minutes. Some people need conditioners that stay on for an hour or overnight. So make sure you're conditioning your hair with a good conditioner that has a lot of nourishing ingredients. Other things to do, sleeping. Sleeping with a silk pillowcase will help the hair, will help reduce friction between your hair and your pillows at night. So for a lot of people who want to really preserve their hair and reduce breakage, I say switch from your nice cotton pillowcases to a silk pillowcase. So those are just some examples of gentle hair care practices that I recommend. Some people, if you have time, I know in this American life that we live, we're so busy, but if you have time, you can learn how to make natural hair masks and natural hair conditioners. Some people, there are many, many recipes out there, and people can DM me if they want some recipes. But ingredients like avocados, olive oil, things like neem, there are several things, mint, that you can use to strengthen your hair. As smelly as it sounds, onion is actually a good natural thing that people can
Oh
use,
my
right?
goodness.
An
Really?
onion, and you use the onion paste on your hair because it has sulfurs and it'll help the hair. It's kind of a stinky solution, but you can put it on the hair, then rinse it off well. But there are many natural things we can use. Henna is a nice natural way. If you have to dye your hair anyways, you may as well use henna. It'll dye your hair, and additionally, it can strengthen the hair. So there are a few natural remedies out there that we can use, and a few natural concoctions at home you can use to condition your hair and strengthen it.
Wow, Dr. Kevin, you're a load of information. I actually had to stop typing because I'm gonna go watch it again and kind of take notes too, so I can also share it with those in my life that need the hair. But this is
Perfect.
very, very, very rich and very, very good. And so I have people who are watching who are like, I like this doctor. What's the name of the book she wrote again so I could get it? But, Doc, where can people connect with you to get more information and potentially work with you?
So they can connect with me on social media at Dr. Kemmy MD. That's Kemmy Kemmy MD, and you can find me with the at Dr. Kemmy MD handle on Instagram, Facebook. You can also go to my website www.drkemmymd.com, and you can reach out to me there. The book that I wrote is called Live and Look Younger, and it's pretty much a guide on a comprehensive way to look younger, because a lot of, nobody wants to age prematurely. So in this book, you learn about how to come up with a skincare regimen so that you can, use the products in the right way to look younger. It also talks about things like diet, exercise, stress control, sleep, all these things that will help the skin and also will help the hair look healthy. And to get this book, you can get it on Amazon. You can also go to my website on www.drkemmymd.com, and you can also do www.drkemmybook.com to get an autographed copy of the book.
Man, you rock. It is. This is. Thank you so much for coming, for sharing such wealth of knowledge when it comes to hair and skin too. Actually, I've put the comments here, and I've also put the name of the book, and there's also a link to the Amazon page. Thank you, Jeremy, for doing that.
Oh, thank you so much.
So that that can be people can connect, and that's on the Facebook page. And you all know you can get to Amazon and just put in her name, and you will find the book as well. I've also put your Facebook and where you are on social media so people can connect with you after the show. But thank you again, Doc, for
You're
coming.
very welcome. One other last thing that I'll talk is not necessarily natural, but most people have heard of minoxidil or Rogaine.
Yes.
That's a topical that used to be prescription only, but now it's widely available over the counter in pharmacies, places like Costco. So if you have androgenetic alopecia, if you notice there's balding in your family and you're starting to lose hair, Rogaine has been minoxidil has been proven to work to help you out. It's something that if you decide to use, you need to commit to using, and you need to commit to using it every single day. It will work, but you have to apply it topically every single day, and it will work for you. And we are now in dermatology, we are using it for very many forms of hair loss, because it works in many ways, but one of the ways it works is that it tends to dilate the vasculature in the scalp, so there's more circulation and more nourishment going to the hair follicles. And there are many other mechanisms in which it works. So for those who have androgenetic alopecia or other forms, you could definitely use over-the-counter minoxidil. You don't need the permission, you can just buy it over the counter, but just know if you're using it, you must be consistent, and then plan to use it in the long term, because if you quit using it, you'll kind of go back to where you started. You'll go back to baseline. But it's something that in most of my patients with alopecia, if they have the determination to apply it, I will recommend that they do it. And yes, it's not something natural, but it's something over the counter that's accessible to everyone, and probably much easier for people than coming up with recipes of onion or other oils and other things to put on your scalp.
Thank you so much for highlighting that too. It's over the counter, so you don't need a doctor's prescription to try it.
No,
Of
you
course,
do.
of course, these are medical suggestions. See your doctor, see your caregiver to talk about this in more detail. But thank you so much for that nugget as well. And for those of you who have been watching live or replay, thank you so much. For next time, I appreciate if you put your names there so I can give you a shout out and just appreciate you for joining us at this time. But Doc, as you look at the comments, people are appreciating you and saying thank you. This has been very helpful for myself as well. So I appreciate you, Doc.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the amazing work you do, all the education you provide. We are grateful for you and for all the work you do. Thank you. And thanks for having me on. I'd love to come back again to talk about the skincare questions
Oh
that your
yes,
audience has.
we're gonna do this in 6 months. So I'm glad you said that, and I typically have my guests come back in 6 months, and we'll do a part two, just as a follow up from this. But thank you for offering that so generously. All right.
Thank you.
Um, all right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please, as always, share, forward this to your friends, to your family members who could find this useful. And as always, if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough, and a passionate family physician in the Mansfield, Texas area, I am she. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks, Doc.
Bye. Thank you.